Hello, my name is Alan Jakobsen of Agility Technologies. Today I'm going to go through the FL360 app. This is available on the Google Play Store. It's an Android application. So basically I'm going to start from the beginning to the end and just follow along here. So launch the application, all right, and it comes up with this window tile setup. And on here there's 6 tiles. When I actually launch the camera, there'll be 8. So let's actually go through these tiles quickly just before I enter them. There's the connection for the wireless here on the far upper left, connection to the wired, the ability to sleep the camera, a gallery where we store all the videos and images you might take, the GPS location of the tablet. So this will be tracked in both the pictures that we take and the videos we take, but keep in mind that the GPS location is where the tablet is. So if you're very conscious about wanting to capture specific void space, make sure that the tablet and the camera are very close to each other. And that's generally how it's done anyway. To download the map, so because the tablet is communicating with the camera using 2.4 gigahertz wireless, you don't have access to Wi-Fi when you're out there with the tablet. So you want to download the map ahead of time so that you have access to the map when you're offline, essentially is what that is. All right, so now I'm going to go back to this wireless one. I'm going to hold this down. And because we're in the office here, we got a couple of cameras coming up. The one I want is 519, and you'll find the serial number on the heat sink of the camera itself that you're going to connect to. So I'm going to hit the connect button, and then 2 more tabs come up. So these 2 tabs here, one is the camera battery telling me that I'm in the yellow, and this is where you'll find the predominantly in is yellow. The green only lasts for a short period of time, and then the green lasts for a very long period of time, and then it goes into red when you got to start thinking about changing out the batteries in the camera itself. The diagnostics, I'm going to just touch that for a while. So every time the software basically boots and you connect to a camera, it goes through a series of diagnostics, right? So this would just basically checks the health. You'll come up with an error message if any of these don't actually function. The temperature is one that you might want to look at in this area. Otherwise, you pretty well ignore this tab. But the temperature, this could go up to as high as 54 degrees Celsius, which is well in excess of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And don't worry about that. It's electronics. They get hot. The heat sink is there on the camera to dissipate the heat away from the electronics so they won't be damaged. But in your very hot environment, say Texas, Arizona, something like that, if it gets very hot to the touch, make sure you're wearing your protective gloves. This is also where we might find the firmware version of the camera itself. So this is the firmware of the electronics in the camera, and it's currently at 5.3. Up at the top here, this little house in this little back, that brings us home again, right? And then I'm going to go into a different, do you see these little hamburger icons in the top hand left, right under the date or the time? And we're going to click on that. And this brings up another screen. And this is where you'll find the version of the software. So currently we're sitting at version 4.2. Now as we go down the screen here, you'll see that the home button is where we connect. We bring out to the tiles, the map, that's the download, the gallery, the diagnostics, and this, are all the same as what's on the tiles. What's different on here is now we also have the user manual. So it'll come up and it'll ask you to launch one of the PDF viewers that are installed on the Android application. So here you have the entire manual for the FL360 camera. This updates the same. Anytime we do a software update, if we made any fundamental changes to the manual, it'll be updated the same time you do the update. In here, we just go to About, and that's typical. We have contact information, ability to go to our website and email right from this screen. Go back to Settings here. We got What's New. So we try and tell you basically from one version to another what changes have been made. So if you want to track that along, as some people do, a little techie, we do provide that option for you. And then the fog guide. So we've gotten approval to actually put the entire Urban Search and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Urban Search and Rescue Program fog guide, field operations guide, right on the tablet. So you can go through the whole thing. So it's loaded here. If they make updates, we'll update that as well. And then this also is where if we do an update, if you do an update for the FL360 app, you put it on there, you can then check to see if there's a firmware update as well. We generally send out a notification in an email to the contact person for each of the cameras out there in the field, and we'll let you know whether it's just a software update or whether it's a software and a firmware. But this is where you would actually initiate that. So I'm going to go back to my tiles here. I've got the camera set up to go. You can see that the wireless is green and the check mark is okay in Diagnostics. I'm going to start the camera now. You can just mute my microphone so I don't pick up any noise from that. Now, I've got it sitting inside my search box at the moment, so basically it's going to be a little bit dark in there. So I'm going to bring up some light, all right? And that's done here on the right-hand side. So you can sort of see my finger bringing that up. So I can also hit the little light bar and it'll go full light and full off, full on, full off. In this box, because of some of the glare, I'm just going to bring down the light just a little bit. All right, so now I can see a little bit inside. Now what you can see here, and I'm going to start in the center here with this meridian line. All right, so this is the front of the camera. The circle here is always the front of the camera. That's that rubber stomper you see on the front of the camera. If I scroll horizontally here and I see the X, that's always the rear of the camera of the FL360 camera. So this is one of the few cameras on the market, if not the only camera in the market, that allows you to correctly see the entry point of going into the void space. And that can be important because you can see we've got some power conduit there that we wouldn't want to cut into unless we knew that the power was off. These decals you see inside our search box are all teams who have purchased FL360 cameras, and we are so appreciative of their support. So that's the meridian line. As we go up and down, we can look here at the field of view indicator in the top right. And this, so as I turn around, you can sort of see this sweeping, almost like a radar sweep. That's telling us where we're looking with the camera. And then as we go up and down, you'll see this red line go up and down. Right? So that's some indicators again as to where you're looking. We do have a video on our YouTube channel that tells you the proper position of holding the camera. So you no longer rotate a camera like you do on conventional articulating camera heads. The camera stays dead straight with the FL360 heat-sink logo perpendicular or parallel to the ground. And now you either go in, you go out, left or right or up or down, but you do not rotate anymore. All of the viewing is done by touching the screen. So so we got the field of view indicator. Now if I'm anywhere off straight and I want to go over there, I just tap it, right? And it'll bring me dead straight again. So this is a very quick way if you get lost in the space to find yourself again. The other thing we can do is we can double tap the screen and we can lose a lot of the other icons and just have the meridian line. So I just double tap it and bring it all back. Some of the other key points on here is in the top left hand corner, I can hit the eye. And what this is an overlay of what all the buttons do. So later on, if you've forgotten what I've talked to you about today, you can hit that information button and it brings up all the overlay and tells you how to operate all of these things here, what they are. The house, again, is to go back home to the tiles. Now, if you have the speaker mic lid installed on the camera, you'll be able to use those activities. So the microphone, if I release that, I'll be able to hear that very sensitive microphone, and it is very sensitive. I'm going to mute it at the moment. Then we also have the ability to push to talk. Now you can use the supplied headset that comes with our kits, or you can just use the tablet itself, or because this is an Android device, it's also got Bluetooth, so you can use a Bluetooth headset. So that's quite convenient, but I just hold this button down and I talk, and it now broadcasts through the speaker that's on the camera. So you can have a two-way conversation with perhaps a victim who's inside the space. And that is always push to talk because we never want an open mic inside a void space to hear if you're having concerns about their welfare, about getting them out, complications you might run into. There's no sense stressing them out by them hearing that part of your conversation. One of the things when I was moving it around that I didn't show you was this ability to actually zoom in a little bit, and you'll see the little radar actually close up that you've zoomed in a little bit, then you can zoom right back out. So that's kind of a neat feature. The zoom is not super in depth, but you just move the camera closer if there's something you want to have a closer view at. The little button over here in the bottom left. This is sort of, you want to be able to hold the tablet in your hand and have a one finger to actually operate the camera. I am not very good at it, so I rarely use that feature of the camera. One day it might disappear and we'll put something else in that space. Now, one of the strengths of the FL360, one of many strengths that it has, is the ability to take recordings and play them back immediately. So as I enter a space, I can take say a 1-2 second video, right? And it, up in the top left-hand corner, it tells you the time frame that you're on, right? And then I can take, and you can go many minutes, by the way. It's a fairly large size memory inside the Android tablet, so you can go for long recordings. And then I'm going to take a symbol snapshot. It tells you screenshot captured. The other button on here that we're looking at is this circle with the arrow on it right here. And what that does is it just refreshes the camera to the tablet should you lose a bit of your wireless signal. So that's sort of what's going on the front screen. Very straightforward, very simple. I'm going to drag out. So actually, I can go back to I'm going to go home here for a second, sorry, to my tablet. And I can also drag out the screen to get to my settings. But before I do that, what I want to do is actually show you those pictures and things I took. So let's go to the picture first. So the last picture taken is always the top left-hand corner. I open it up. There's my box. There's not much I can do with it. All right. However, I can activate this little eye in the top hand right, and it gives you some information about that picture. It tells me which camera took it, what's the resolution of that camera, the latitude and longitude of that camera, again, based on the tablet, the date and time of that being taken, and we put down the UTC code because if you're traveling from your normal time zone, at least the picture will always be, you'll be able to tell based on the UTC, right? What time zone that the picture was taken in. And then the file size, 0.8 of a megabyte, so it's a really good size. And then the address. So if I'd actually downloaded the map first, we would have had the address here of the Office of Agility. Now, one of the things we ask you to do is to set up a Gmail account to manage your FL360 cameras. And this can be one Gmail account to manage multiple cameras. It doesn't have to be one per camera. But with that ability, you kind of need that to be able to go to the Google Play Store and download the updates and things of that nature. But you also get the added benefit of having a Google Drive that you can now save that picture to, a Gmail account. You can download and install OneDrive, Microsoft Outlook, all of these different things that you can do now that basically allows you to share the pictures and videos that you take. So it's important to have that Gmail account, and you can't get very far with the product without it, actually. So keep in mind that once the camera is connected to the tablet, you're occupying the wireless. However, all of the tablets we sell with our kit also have a SIM card capability. So if you install a SIM card, you'd be able to actually stay connected to your camera and then send, using the data plan that you have, files and images and stuff like that. So one of the other things you have here in the top left is also a trash can. So I'm going to actually delete that picture. Now, as I go back to my gallery, I'm going to go under videos, and I took that 2-second video. So it looks the same as the picture, except what I've done now is I've captured the entire 360 degrees of that space. So that's really important. And then I can zoom, I can do all the features that I had as though this was live, including taking a snapshot, right? So if you're out there and you're collecting data, take 1-2 second videos instead of pictures, because what will happen is if you miss something in the shot, the chances are the video has picked it up and you can zoom in on something and then now take a picture of it, right? So really cool feature. I'm going to just tap this and I'm going to unzoom. You can see it just behaves as though the camera's live. So again, we have the information, same type of thing, latitude, longitude. Now the file size on 2 seconds was only 1.8 megabytes. That's easy to actually email. And again, we have this little device. It comes up and we can now mail it. We can save it to the Google Drive. We can save it to OneDrive. We can do all of these things with it and share that video. So again, I highly recommend that you take videos instead of pictures. Right, so now let's go back to the settings, and we're going to go to home. There we go. Now wired I can't show you connected because right now I have the tablet connected to my computer so you can see this lovely image on the screen. So the wired, we've actually done a separate video that'll be posted on YouTube that you can go through how to actually connect the wired, but that's where you would do that. The gallery we've gone through, the download the map. As you bring up, again, before I should have started this, I could have gone zoomed in to my location and then downloaded that map. But I have to be on Wi-Fi to do that. Battery, diagnostics. So that's really straightforward. I can scroll from the side or I can hit the hamburger icon. And I'm going to go into our actual settings now. A lot of the on-screen stuff that we've given you, you have the ability to actually turn that off. We don't recommend it, but we do understand that some people might want to focus on something and not have that up there. So one of the things you can do is actually turn on an auto hide. So all of those, remember I double tapped, they would all disappear automatically. You'd have to tap the screen to get them back. It can actually lead to a whole bunch of extra double taps and stuff. So it's there, but I highly recommend you just leave it off. Auto rotate, we've actually done a separate video on this on the YouTube channel because it's quite involved, but it's a feature that I want you to play with. It really changes the way that the camera behaves when you're doing a vertical entry, whether up or down. And the auto rotate turned on gives you a horizontal view as you say you're going down the side of a building. You want to not see the ground, you want to see what's inside each one of the floors as you go by, and that's what the auto rotate allows you to do. In a future update, we're going to actually put that auto rotate on the main screen so you don't have to leave the camera in order to activate it. It's a really good feature and you should play with it. Camera microphone on startup, you can have it turned on. We usually actually have it turned off because it can give you a screeching noise if you got the camera and the tablet side by side. There's some interference there. Headset level, for me, I'm deaf as a doornail practically, so I'd have that high. But for most people, you young folk out there, just keep it around halfway, and that's acceptable. You can always turn it up later or turn it down once you're actually operating. The field of view indicator, again, you have the option to turn it off. We recommend that you don't, but it is there. So a lot of these you may not touch very much. The Gridline Transparency, that one allows you to actually have red and green lines on the screen. So the green will always be the right camera. The red will always be the left camera. So it's just another indicator on screen so you don't get lost in a void space. The meridian front and back pointer, again, you can turn that off, but I don't recommend it because you'll get a bit lost in the space if you don't have it. Perhaps there's a video that you want to take where you don't have this indicator on the screen. Maybe you'll go in and turn that off just for that purpose, right? You have this ability to quickly back up files to an SD card. All these Android tablets that we include in our kits have a micro SD ability that go all the way up to, I believe, 128 gigabytes. So you can actually offload a lot of your videos and pictures to that SD card if you're doing a lot of filming, right? And they're so inexpensive these days. Disable video recording, we have that in there for a unique, this is something we run into over the years, visiting military sites, secure areas where they don't want the ability for anything to take a video. They don't allow you to bring cameras in. They don't allow a lot of the stuff. So we can actually set the camera up so it will not record to appease, those agencies, right? Display brightness, that's just the same thing, but you can control that also in the Android app by, dropping down the windows and, using the Android software that's built into the tablet to adjust screen brightness and things like that. We usually have it full blast. The batteries in the tablets last a very long time. Yeah, so we're not worried about having the screen bright. So talking about battery and all that stuff, I have the ability to sleep the camera and then reactivate it just by hitting this button. I can sleep the tablet by hitting the top power button. It goes off. I can hit it again and then slide up to unlock the screen and it goes right back into the application, right? So you don't have to worry about, having the tablet on all day long kind of thing, right? So that's a really fast way of sort of sleeping your tablet, prolonging the life of the batteries. And we go into a little more detail on some of our other videos on YouTube that go into all of that kind of stuff. So that's really the FL360 application. We're going to update this video as we increase the functionality of this program. It's always free to our users. So, and we appreciate all the support that everybody gives us and the great feedback that we've had on the FL360 camera. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If I didn't cover something that you'd like to see or hear about, reach out to us. This is all my contact information. I'd be happy to talk with you, email with you, whatever it takes. All right? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.